drops a atomic bomb.
The free nations face a worldwide threat. It must be met with a worldwide defense.
Hello everyone and welcome to Axis and Allies 1951. Today we'll be taking a closer look at the neutral nations.
So I know in the introduction I covered quite a bit of the neutrals. I just thought I would go through and talk about some of the other things that I had quickly missed. So again, as I said, there are a lot more neutral nations, and some neutral nations that perhaps were once like pro-ally or pro-axis have flipped, and there are some territories that used to be owned by one of the factions that has become neutral, i.e. like Libya, Egypt, Ethiopia, Italian Somaliland, territories like that. So for some of the nations, their militaries have advanced by the from the 1940s to the 1950s. So some of the neutral nations again have had their militaries beefed up a little bit, and because of that, that's why we are using the German infantry, just to show that these nations have built up. So in global 1940, Bolivia has no military. Well, 5 years on, they had a military 5 years on. So we decided to give them 2 defenders, but a place, say like Brazil, we just decided to leave it at 3. Over here, like Saudi Arabia in global was worth 2. We gave them a boost in infantry, gave them another one. One of the big rules about neutrals. So with it being 5 years on from World War II, we sort of decided that some of these militaries, wouldn't have just had infantry to defend it. They would also have tanks and artillery and aircraft. But so instead of trying to figure out what, how many of each unit each neutral would get, we just decided that the number of infantry pieces represent the entire military. So if you attack a neutral, the neutrals defend on a 3 or less, not a 1. We will be playtesting that. Not sure if the 3 or 1 is really going to work out. It might be too powerful. We just have to see how that definitely balances out. Now and then another one, just like talking about neutrals, is Mongolia. Now, historically wise, during the Cold War, Mongolia favored the Soviet Union more than it favored China. But just for the purposes of the game, we just decided that Mongolia would just be a pro-communist neutral instead of being like a pro-Soviet over pro-China. So Chinese forces, can go into Mongolia and not have to worry about having to fight against the defensive armies within Mongolia. So that was just a really brief, really quick thing about some of the information about the neutrals that I had missed. Also, as a quick recap, if you missed the introduction, the markers that you see represent what type of neutral they are. White is pro-ally, black is pro-communist, and if you see one like Persia, like the Persia nations or Afghanistan, like if they don't have a marker on them, they are now strict neutrals. Even though it says pro-allies, they're actually a strict neutral now. Same goes with like Finland, they're strict. Switzerland is still strict. The Balkan regions, that was all gobbled up by the Russians at the end of World War II. So those all fall under Soviet occupation. Turkey went from being a strict neutral to being a supporter of NATO. Same with Greece. I believe those two didn't actually join NATO until about the mid-1950s. So again, that, like I said, just a real quick look, more in-depth look at the neutral nations. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment if you have some suggestions, and hope you all have a good day.